Hello and a very warm welcome. Sometimes you come across an argument in a text that is just so perfectly and powerfully structured. Well, today we're going to dive into one of those. We're breaking down a passage from the Qur'an that honestly reads like a compelling case being made in some kind of celestial courtroom. So right off the bat, the whole argument kicks off with this massive question. It's designed to make you just stop and think. When you're talking about ultimate truth, what is the single greatest, most powerful proof you can possibly have? And the text doesn't just leave you hanging. It gives a definitive answer that becomes the foundation for everything else. All right, so here's how we're going to walk through this. It's really a four-part journey. We'll start with the foundational evidence. Then we'll diagnose the reasons people might reject it. After that, things get really dramatic with a courtroom scene set in the hereafter. And finally, it all boils down to one ultimate choice. Okay, first things first. Any good argument, any solid case needs to establish its primary evidence, right? Its star witness, so to speak. This first section is all about laying down that one piece of proof that's meant to be absolutely unshakable. And there it is, the answer to that big opening question. The text asserts that the greatest possible testimony comes from God himself. The argument being made is that this divine revelation, the Qur'an itself, is presented as God's own witness statement. So the point here is crucial. This isn't about human opinion or what's popular. It's a truth claim grounded in the highest possible authority. And to really drive this point home, the text uses this incredibly powerful simile. It argues that for people who had received scriptures before, this revelation should be as instantly and undeniably recognizable as a parent recognizing their own child. I mean, think about that. It's an instinctual, deep-seated recognition. This framing is so important because it implies that to deny this truth isn't just an intellectual mistake, but a conscious, willful choice to ignore it. So after presenting the evidence, the argument then pivots. It starts to diagnose the ways people might reject what it claims is an obvious truth, and it frames this rejection not as a simple error, but as a profound injustice. The text really zeroes in on two core crimes of denial. First, inventing falsehoods about God, things like creating idols or assigning partners to him. The second is actively denying his signs, his revelations. And the passage presents these two actions as the greatest forms of injustice possible. So why? Why would someone reject what's being presented as such clear evidence? The text actually offers a kind of psychological diagnosis. It describes a state of what we might call cognitive resistance, where hearts are covered and ears are deaf. According to the source material, the issue isn't a lack of evidence, but a disposition that has become hardened against the truth. And this internal resistance, it doesn't just stay inside. It starts to manifest as external action. The deniers aren't just keeping themselves away from the message, they're actively trying to prevent others from hearing it too. And here's the brilliant, tragic irony the text points out. In their effort to block the message, the passage argues they only end up harming themselves. And the tragedy is, they don't even realize it. This brings us right to the dramatic third act. The argument now shifts gears completely, moving from the present world to the future. It paints this vivid, intense picture of a courtroom scene on the Day of Judgment, where every single action and belief is finally brought to account. And the scene opens with this absolutely piercing question. All the idols, the false beliefs, the worldly powers that were treated like partners with God, they're all called to the stand. But of course, they are nowhere to be found. It's this moment of total public exposure, showing the ultimate powerlessness of everything that was worshipped instead of God. So when they're confronted with this reality, what's their defense? The text says their only move is a last-ditch, desperate oath. They try to deny their entire past, swearing they were never among those who associated partners with God. But it's a denial that comes far, far too late. And here, the text just delivers the punchline. It points out the bitter irony of the situation. Look at them, lying against their own selves. And then, in an act of perfect poetic justice, the very things they invented, their idols and false deities, are now lost from them. They've completely abandoned them in their moment of greatest need. Man, the theme of regret here is just so powerful. Faced with the consequences, the deniers desperately wished for a second chance to just go back and be believers. But the text delivers a really stark verdict. It says that even if they were sent back, their fundamental nature is so set that they would simply go right back to their old ways. The regret is seen as a product of their circumstance, not a true change of heart. And this is the climax of the whole courtroom scene. A final, simple question is put to them. Is this not the truth? And at this point, all the arguing stops. All the denial is stripped away. The only possible response left is a full admission. Yes, by our Lord. The truth they denied their whole lives is now finally and irreversibly acknowledged. So, after all that intensity, after that courtroom drama, the argument brings it all back home. It distills the entire preceding case down to a single, fundamental choice that exists for us in the here and now.
This final part really is the theological punchline. It presents this stark contrast, a tale of two realities. On one side, you have the worldly life, described here as fleeting amusement and diversion, things that are temporary and can distract from what really matters. And on the other side, you have the hereafter, described as what's truly better and more permanent for those who are mindful and God-conscious.
And the entire powerful argument, it ends not with a command, but with an invitation. After laying out all the evidence, the diagnosis, and the consequences, the text leaves the final judgment to the reader. It asks a simple, profound question that just hangs in the air. Given all of this, so will you not reason? Thanks for joining me.